Hello, my name is Lindsay Pettit. I'm in the wind band at Shelbyville High School. I'm part of a project our band program is doing that was partially funded by an Indiana Arts Commission grant entitled Arts and Education. The music being part of this project was composed by students and performed and recorded by the Shelbyville High School Wind Band. We want the community to know how grateful we are to those who served in the military. This is our way of giving back through the arts and to honor those who make our community what it is today. We realize this project is the tip of the iceberg, as there are many others who are as equally deserving of this recognition as those we will meet tonight. We hope you will join us in honoring all who have served, regardless of whether they are included in this project or not. We hope you enjoy the product of our endeavor. I'd like to introduce you to someone who's one of our community's unsung hero. This is Mark Frazee. Welcome to the Strand Theater, Shelbyville, Mr. Frazee.
Thank you.
You're welcome. A big part of this project is to learn about our past so we understand more about ourselves. It also helps us understand what makes our community special. So to start, can you just tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, I grew up here in Shelbyville, spent my whole childhood here, graduated in 1978 from Shelbyville High School. My immediate family all lived here all their life as well.
What is your most special memory of this community?
My most special memory really would be kind of a general memory of growing up here, being a small town. You had really not a lot going on in the area, so you spent a lot of time with your friends making things to do, whether it was going to the river and swimming, or when you're younger, just getting together, gathering everybody up and hitting the parks and playing baseball. But it's a nice place to grow up.
Do you remember what some of the hot topics of the day were?
I do. When I graduated high school, and it's almost comparative currently, the economy was beginning to be very poor, very bad. In fact, as I look at it now, as a high school student, I didn't pay that much attention to it, but I knew that people were talking about that. And it may be encouraging to other people now. Actually, the economy was probably worse then than it is now. We did come out of it, which is the positive news, and I think we will again.
Do you remember what the hot car or must-have item was?
The must-have car. Now this was good. A GTO. Especially when I was younger, back late 60s, early 70s, either a GTO or a Shelby Mustang.
So, with what military branch did you serve?
I was in the United States Marine Corps.
Okay. Can you briefly describe your time in the military?
Left for basic training. It was a week after I graduated high school. The Marine Corps, as compared to the other branches of the service, is a little more intense in their training regimen. It's the smallest branch of the armed forces, and they build it as the world's finest fighting force. And so they tried to drill that into your head while you're training. But it was very intense. They instill a lot of pride and respect for what you were doing. And I think one of the other things was the camaraderie. Once you were finished with basic training, you had done something that very few other people had done, and you felt a lot of camaraderie with the other people that came through that with you.
Can you describe how your life changed when you got to boot camp or training?
Yeah. First of all, I lost all my hair. And at that time in the late 70s, long hair on the guys. We had it down to our shoulders. So we looked like a bunch of bald eagles running around. I mean, white, ears sunburned, and everything else. So that was the first change. Actually, I really kind of enjoyed basic training after the initial shock. Had a good upbringing here, played a lot of sports. My coaches, my parents and everything really drove in hard work and that. So it really wasn't super difficult getting through, but boy, I mean, just when somebody said you jump and you just have to say how high, you had to adjust to that real quick.
Did you learn any important lessons in your time at training?
I really did. One, you learned that you could push yourself further than what you thought you could do. And I think any person should learn that lesson. You can go farther than what you think you can in your mind. And I think the other thing was just that you learn that there is a purpose behind when you're in an organization and they have rules or procedures and doing things. There is actually a purpose behind it. You start seeing that in your training. Okay.
Well, after your initial training, what did you do? Like, where did you go, and what was the military like?
Really enjoyed it. We went to Camp Pendleton for infantry training school. I spent 8 weeks there, and then they shipped me out to the Philippines at what they called Marine Barracks duty. And what our duties there were, it was in Subic Bay at a naval base, and the back part of the base was 12,000 acres of jungle. And hidden in that jungle was what they called the Naval Magazine, which was where they stored ammunition for the 7th Fleet. And our job was to patrol the jungles. And at that time in the Philippines, they had a communist revolution going on with what they called the NPA, the New People's Army. And we were supposed to patrol the jungles and keep them out of there and keep them from stealing ammunition from the magazine.
Okay. Well, what were the big fears of the day? Like, what headlines dominated the news? Who was our major enemy? Can you describe the times through a soldier's perspective?
At that time, we were in the middle of the Cold War, and of course, the big enemy, and even when we'd be on training exercises, was the Soviet Union. And also at that time, when I was in the Philippines, was when the American embassy was taken over by the Iranians. And I can remember because they woke us up. When it happened, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. They woke us up, got us out of our barracks, issued everybody ammunition, and had C-130s warming up on the airstrip, because actually from Subic Bay we could have made a flight into the Middle East, and they had us on standby. And of course, historically, if people remember, they had a rescue mission going on which failed. They had a helicopter crash in the middle of the desert. But had they actually been able to extract them, or if any trouble would have happened in doing that, they were going to fly us in order to help them get out of there. So that was pretty intense. Once they didn't tell us anything until we got down. We're sitting on the airstrip with our ammunition and rifles, and then they explained to us what was going on. So we were thinking, man, here we go. We're going to war with Iran. So,
Terry, what did you miss most about being away from home?
Family, mostly, yeah. And so it was always nice to come home when you got leave and see your family. And nice thing about a community like this, not everybody left. So you could kind of come home and still see some of your old friends and that. And I think that was the biggest thing that I missed.
Well, we're about to wrap up our interview, but before we do, is there anything you'd like to say or add?
Probably the only thing I'd like to add to this, is I would recommend probably to any young person, if you're not sure what you want to do when you graduate high school, if you're still trying to figure it out, and if you have a little bit of an adventurous spirit, I'd really recommend doing some time in the military. I never regretted it. I would do it over again today if I had to do it. You live in a good community here. I was gone for years. I came back here a little over 3 years ago, and if you want to stay here, I just want to encourage everybody to think about that and just really make this town, this community, something that everybody can be proud of, that people talk about around the country.
Alrighty. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to thank you. It's the little things in life that sometimes make the big difference. One of the little things I like to say is thanks. Thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for making our community a special place to live. Thank you for the lessons you taught me tonight about honor, sacrifice, loyalty, bravery, esprit de corps, and commitment to a greater good. Mark Frazee, our community salutes you for your service.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.